can see, we're gonna go over the jam section in China Cat and I Know You Rider. This is a really fun one to do. It's a lot of bobby tricks. I had a request to do this. It's the Veneta 72 version, really nice, Oregon Country Fair version. So I'm gonna go through all the, it's basically 4 little sections he goes through and then he stops. And the last little, it's just repeating itself from that part, or just repeating itself. So I'll break it all down. So when he starts out, they come out of the verse. Come out of the verse with the same thing they do in the song, but instead of going back into the verse, you just instead of doing this twice, you just put the C note on it, the 7 note in D, because then now you're in D7 jam, you know. And all these little tricks Bobby's doing is D7 tricks. Right here. Okay. So this little, he's in this variation right here. 5/7 on the 5/7 on the D string. 5 on the G string, 4 5 4 7 5. Sus 4 major third 2. So now for this first part of this, and again, this is just this version. A lot of the stuff in 72 is pretty outlined, but this certain version and a couple other versions, he's adding a couple different things. In the Weir versions, most of them are pretty much locked in. He has a couple different licks in this, like this beginning one. 5 7 5 5 4 5 4 7 5. And then after you do that, he goes. He's kind of setting himself up now. He hit this in this inversion, and then he slides up with his index finger. Now this index finger setting you up for this section of the. You see how he's in this whole section is like this, where he's kind of like in this section, and then he does one thing to move up to the next one, and now he's in this section. This is kind of like hinting, I'm going to move up, and then he's in this one, then he goes, that's his note to go into that one. See how I was down here, and now I'm all of a sudden up here. He does little things to go in between that, and it's like, there's a little thing to it. It's not just Bobby doing whatever he wants, you know, there is a thing to it that he kind of cemented into this jam. This is a signature one that he does in almost every single version. So when you go, so slide up with your index finger, and then 7 9 7. Then you bend up the 9 on the G. So you're doing a little box, and you bend it up the 9. He's gonna be doing this often through the jam, so get used to doing D7, the top of D7. And he's walking down D7, D6. Now this part, you can hear he's kind of messing up. He's kind of trying to figure out where he wants to go, but what he throws in is this little minor third to major third on the D, on the 10th and the 12th section. He kind of skips this next. And then just goes right up to. And you can see when he's doing this, he's kind of setting up, all right, I'm in D, but then he jumps back down. bends up this, bends up the G string. Trick he does right here, he's messing around with the chromatic right here. See how he's kind of messing around with all D stuff. This is not, he's not messing around with the sevens right here, he's messing around with the major third, minor third, and the sus4, bending the sus4 up to the 5. He does a lot of bends in this. Bending up the 7, bending up the 4. This is a signature one as well. You hear this in almost every single version, this little trick. So what he's messing around with, I just figured out, is this inversion of D7, where it's this G, index finger on the 7th. Then your ring finger is going to be on the 10th, on the D, because that's the 7 note. And then 5 note. So this is inversion of D7. He's sliding these 2 notes up into it. So, and then what he's doing, that's a little tricky. So if you can, you'll hear him when. Trick he does right after that when he goes. Now he's going to be sitting in this, he's bend up like you did before. 7 to 9, bending up the 9. But then you're going to end on your pinky on the 10th on the D string. You're going to do this little walk down. 10, 9, 7 on the D while keeping the 7 on the G. So I'll show you how to throw that in. Okay, so now you can see that now he's messing around with this section now. He's milking up. And then he does it again. And then he goes. He doesn't do that walk down now. So on the second time he just goes. He stops on the D. And then he moves up to the next section. This D at the 10th and 12th. And the little trick he does is the Alabama getaway trick. So you bend up your B string and your G string. Like how you're doing on the one section when it's like. you bend up both. It's the only difference. You add the B string. So let me throw that in there. I'm gonna go through from the beginning of this, so you can see up to here where we're at. Comes in kind of like, and then he goes, and you can tell he goes back to this. He hops up and then he comes right back down. So he keeps hopping from so that's the trick though. Minor third, major third. And then he's going to use this to move up to the next section. Hit that 7 now, instead of this 7. Right there. That's a note to move up. Now he's in. So, to get to this, and you hit that on the B string. When you're done doing it, G string first on the 14th, and then 15th on the B. And then you bend up on the 17th. Now you're basically just repeating the. See, it's the same notes, just different strings, different octaves. Bend up the 17th. Bend up the 17th, down to the 17th, off to the 15th. Roll the 17th. And then 17th on the G string. And then keep the 15th on the B string the whole time. Right there. This is his way of coming back down from, and he goes, and then instead of going, he bends this note up to this note. That's his way of kind of showing he's going to come back down. So when it's like a, then he does this little, now he's back down to this inversion. That's the notes, that's the riff to go back into the. You hear this often too in these early versions. He does this. This is another signature riff. So when you come back into it, G string, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10, 9, 12, 9, 10, 9, 12. So you do this on the G string to D, and then you do the same riff from the D to the A. Okay. So he just adds in the middle of this little riff, that riff that I taught you before. So it's really quick. You throw that right in after, and then instead of going just one string, you bend up both, the G and the B. So it makes that extra growl. Goes right back to, now he's just repeating riffs that he's already done. See how it's kind of like he has riffs in sections. When he's right here, he's always or. It's like one or two strings, but it's always kind of the same riff in the same section. But so yeah, when you do that, right back into that one. So it's really quick. But once you get these licks down and you kind of just go over it and over it again, okay, I can feel it out. That's what I've been doing the past couple days. And once you get the licks down, it really helps. And this ending part is pretty signature too. So he's doing like a D7. I'm sorry. It's like a D7 with a 9, so it would be like a D9 kind of. But then instead of doing this, see him do this. He does it with his index finger up. I kind of just do it like this. It's like a F major 7 triad on the bottom, but it's also a D7, D9 triad. Okay, so and the D string's open too for you, so that's perfect. This is your 7 note. So. And then you throw in the 6. That's the walk down. What you're doing with the chords. D6, and then hammer on the minor third to major third in this D. Also throws in this little so that's my what he's doing. So he doesn't have his index finger droning. He sets it up like this so we can hammer on the B string. He hammers on. Take a little bit to get to this little transitioning from to this. It took me a little bit, but it's a nice little flurry on what you're doing. And you can add in this D7, like I said. So you'll see him add in that. next octave up of this. You're doing that just up here. So what he does is, same thing you're doing. Just, so it'd be G string and E string. What is this, 16th to 17th? And then 15th on the B. Then you hold the B string on the 15th, 17th, 16th, 14th. We went through this earlier in that little jam section, but he throws it again right here, so I'll go through it. And then also to get up to that, when you go to end the last one before you go into that, he goes, you're bending up the 15th to the 17th, down to the 13th, and the 14th on the G. That's your way to get up into that. You do that little D, and you end. In this certain version, he ends in this one. Pinky on the E string to emphasize that, and then you do the sus4, kind of to show that you're coming out of it. And then you hear Jerry start to come in solo right there, and that's kind of the end of Bob's section. So that's kind of all the parts for it. I hope that helps. Like I said, there's tons of versions. I can do a 80s version later on down the line. That's a whole different ball game for the tricks and licks that he's doing. But I just wanted to get this one out there because it's really fun, and I hope it helps out when you guys are playing live. And thanks for watching. More to come.